What is up, duelists? Arts and Crafts here once more with your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! Goat Format action. Today's feature match, we've got 3R Mutanda, I'm just going to call him Mutanda probably, versus Michelo Dulo. As always, both players rated in the top 200 of the Duelingbook Goat Format ladder at the time this match was played. Let's hop right into it. Looks like Michelo won the RPS, who will choose to go first, as is standard in this format. And they will lead out with a Breaker the Magical Warrior with no back row to pop. So kind of an interesting choice. Maybe just a hand that's a little bit gummed up on normal summons, but definitely a pretty unorthodox play. Usually you want to save your Breaker for times when you can immediately get value from it by trying to pop an opponent's back row. So just going for basically having a 1900 vanilla that will dissuade the opponent from setting non-chainables is an interesting play, but based on the hand, could be a good one. Just a little bit unorthodox, but we'll see what the plan is. Mutanda here, gonna draw for turn. We're gonna get Trap Dust Shoot here immediately out of Michelo, so we'll see what third Mutanda is playing. Looks like they are running pretty standard Chaos Turbo stuff here. Nice opening hand. Thunder Dragon, Sorcerer, Tribe, as well as Duo, Upstart, Knock. So pretty strong stuff here. Lots of stuff for Michelo to potentially do away with. Tribe is a pretty clean answer to the Breaker, of course. Thunder Dragon is the nice light engrave, although it doesn't really have any discard outlets at the moment. Sork is obviously quite a strong card as well. Really going to depend on what Michelo has in hand. Just shooting back a Thunder Dragon is always pretty strong, so I wouldn't be surprised to just see that, especially because Sork doesn't have a dark or light to go with, especially if you strip away the Thunder Dragon right now. So stealing the Thunder Dragon makes Sork a little bit worse. Tribe, they don't have anything really good to discard to it at the moment, assuming you take away the Thunder Dragon, right? So I think, yeah, stealing the Thunder Dragon kind of just makes the whole rest of the hand a lot worse. So that's probably the play there. Even if Tribe is probably going to come through and kill your Breaker, they'll likely have to discard a real card for it, so it's not the end of the world. So yeah, TD gets sent back. You know, Duo's coming through pretty soon, and you know you can play around Nobleman of Crossout here, which is nice. So good intel off this Trap Dust Shoot, but pretty nice hand here for Mutanda at the beginning. We're going to get Trap Dust Shoot number 2. Okay. So you can also just send back the Tribe. Yeah, nice. And you just ripped out everything in Mutanda's hand, pretty much. They're really going to be banking on getting something good off of this Upstart. Now, I guess... Michelo knew that the Upstart was in hand, and Mutanda is probably, 90% of the time... Well, I guess there is a non-zero chance that they choose. Well, no, so they have the Tribe in hand. So even if they go and fire off that Duo first, really high odds they go and Upstart before they do anything else, because like Tribe isn't the obvious card to play here, right? So if I was Michelo, I probably would wait for the Upstart to resolve to get to see another card and get more value out of the second Trap Dust Shoot. There's a small chance that Mutanda plays around it, but that seems a little bit unlikely. Kind of tough to say. You at least know that you get to send back the Tribe here, so maybe that's good enough anyway. But now Mutanda will have an unknown card in hand after they resolve this Upstart Goblin, which could prove to be an issue for Michelo. Duo is going to come here first. Going to rip out a card out of Michelo's hand. They hit a Graceful Charity. Oof! To shot her around the world there. Graceful hit in the grave for Michelo. They're going to go discard a Mystic Swordsman level 2 here as well. So maybe running a little bit of Warrior action here with main deck Mystic Swordsman, double Dust Shoot. Decent read. Could also be like Go Control. Maybe all cards of that deck would play as well. And now Mutanda just going to fire off this Upstart. Try to draw into something good. And looks like they drew into a monster, so they're going to set it there. And yeah, this is what I was talking about. Michelo maybe could have saved that Dust Shoot for the opportunity to go for this play. And strip away, a different card. But we'll see if they have something else in hand to deal with this. Now, unfortunately for Michelo, discarding the Mystic Swordsman when Mutanda was going to come in and draw a set monster off the Upstart. Of course, you don't know what they're going to draw off the Upstart, but would have been nice to know what those cards are before you decided, I guess, what to do with this discard off that Duo, maybe. Michelo not in a terrible position here, though. Your Breaker did survive, at least. 1900 body is pretty nice. Ooh, and they have a Nobleman of Crossout in hand to go and banish the set, and hitting a Gravekeeper Spy is pretty nice, especially if you are as we suspect, playing a little bit more of an aggressive strategy here. And this will clear out all the breaker or all of the spies from Mutanda's deck. And now this 1900 breaker looking really powerful to start clocking the opponent. Even though you got hit by a duo here, you're still in a nice position. Ooh, and we have a reinforcement of the army as well to grab Donzalug to rip out another card out of the opponent's hand. Really, really strong opening for Michelo. Exactly what warrior decks like to do. Able to simplify the game state ASAP. Start ripping cards out of your opponent's hand. You just have a really big board. And yeah, Mutanda not looking too good for you here at the moment. Let's see what Donzalug rips out. Going to snag the Nobleman. Okay, so now Michelo knows they don't have to play around that anymore. So the last card in hand is a Chaos Sorcerer. And this is almost lethal here on board already. So Mutanda here in a really bad spot, especially with the Dead Sorcerer in hand. Let's see, living by the top deck here. What's the plan? Just going to set a back row pass. Okay. Hoping it's something chainable so that Breaker doesn't just pop it and get another free +1. Michelo here. Yeah, just going to go ahead, activate that Breaker. It is a Ring of Destruction, which will kill the Donzalug, keeping the Sork in hand. But this will drop Mutanda down pretty low, 2300. Breaker on its own is now a 2-turn clock. And we just have Kaiku here for game. Yeah, so game 1 here to Warrior. Really solid opening there, despite getting duoed. Just the double dust shoot to really set Mutanda back. Make sure they couldn't answer your opening board, and you just got to beat in with Donzalug and Breaker on an open board. And then the top deck Kaiku for the win there. Cool. So game 1 there goes to Warrior against what looks like Chaos Turbo to me. Turbo will be able to go first here, which is nice for them. We'll see if they can utilize that extra tempo advantages that they have. Opening Thunder Dragon here. It's pretty nice. Going up half a card. Into Upstart Goblin. Correct sequencing there, so you don't accidentally draw into a Thunder Dragon. Off the Upstart, of course. And then they're going to go Summon Sangan, set a back row, pass. Warrior plays a lot of set monster hate. So Summon Sangan is pretty nice if you really want to make sure the effect resolves. Although, really it only plays around knock, right? Because a lot of Warriors set hate destroys, like Mystic Swordsman, Blade Knight, Exiled Force. So going for the Summon Sangan here is actually a little bit interesting. I can really only see this being the right play if you really, really need to search something off of Sangan to make your hand a lot better. Like if you have Graceful in hand and you want to grab a Serpent or have anything else that needs Serpent discard. Otherwise, I think set Sangan is pretty good against Warrior because it's good into most of the set removal that they have. And if they waste something on a Sangan, it'll make all of your other flip monsters in the deck a lot stronger. Let's see what the play is here for Michelo, though. They opened a Delinquent Duo, which is really nice. It's going to be able to rip at least one card out of the opponent's hand. Let's see what they hit. Rolling a couple sixes up that die there. They snag a Chaos Sorcerer. Okay, so notably getting Chaos live here for Mutanda already. And one thing I do want to point out is Michelo just firing off the duo when you know your opponent has double Thunder Dragon in hand is a little bit risky because there's a good chance that you're just going to hit a Thunder Dragon and then they discard the other one and it really didn't do too much. Although I guess removing the possibility for Tribute Summon Thunder Dragon, tributing the Sangan, is kind of nice. So in this scenario, I can definitely understand just running the duo into the double Thunder Dragon hand because Thunder Dragon is actually a decent card here. So ripping out both of them isn't too bad. We'll probably see one hit the Grave here, though. Yep. And now at least you know one of the Sorcerers is gone out of the opponent as well, which is pretty nice. Follow-up play is going to be normal summon Blade Knight. Okay. So just trying to get aggressive here. Just a 1600 attack. Kill the Sangan. Deal 600. Mutanda is going to go ahead and grab a Gravekeeper Spy. And now you see kind of what I was talking about. If you had set the Sangan and they were like forced to use like an Exiled or something on it, then Spy would be a lot better here. Because now you haven't really gotten any of the Flip Monster hate out of your opponent yet. And Spy is less likely to resolve. Is what it is, though. Grabbing the Spy instead of something like a Tsukuyomi, which is a little bit more proactive of an answer against Warrior, is a little bit interesting. Suk is also nice because it is not vulnerable to set monster hate, but maybe already has the Suk in hand, potentially. Went with the Spy, though. We'll see if that ends up being able to stick around. If it can resolve against Warrior, then that's huge, and you're just pretty much automatically in a winning position a lot of the times. So it is kind of a high-risk, high-reward option here, whereas Sook might be a little bit more consistent. Michelo going to add a couple back row here to protect this breaker as well. Not too bad. We're going to get end-phased MST out of Mutanda to pop one of them, though. And they hit a Trap Dust Shoot, so pretty nice high-value MST there. That is why you keep an MST against Dust Shoot decks, because sniping one is just really powerful. And we saw how well Michelo was able to play in Game 1 after resolving that card. So Mutanda's got to feel pretty good here, being able to remove that from the opponent's side of the board. Michelo, of course, could have double Dust Shoot, like we saw in Game 1, but less likely. Yeah, making it to main phase 1, no Dust Shoot here. When we're going to go ahead and slam down a Chaos Monster, we've got Chaos Sorcerer coming down in defense position, which is generally suboptimal against Warrior because they play Ninja Grandmaster. What's one thing to think about when you're playing Turbo against Warrior. Going to be able to banish the Blade Knight here is nice. Keep a light out of the grave. Going plus there, adding a set monster, probably Spy, as well as a back row. So really strong turn here for Mutanda, getting Chaos live really, really early. And now is in a pretty solid position, recuperating the lost card advantage from that Delinquent Duo. I guess, no, Duo hit the Thunder Dragons anyway, so you didn't actually lose too many cards off of that. So yeah, I think Mutanda just in a really nice spot here with their plays so far this game. Michelo not out of it yet, though, of course. They have a Ninja Grandmaster here, like I was saying. One of the big reasons why you do not want to summon your Chaos Monsters in defense position. Hopefully Mutanda has a, for them at least, has a back row to protect this. Otherwise, this will be a lot of advantage gained from this Ninja Grandmaster. Yeah, and Sorcerer's going to hit the grave, and yeah, that's just kind of one of those plays you kind of have to know about doing when you're playing Turbo against Warrior. Because you know they're running Ninja Grandmaster, and notably Ninja Grandmaster also very, very good against the Spy that we think Mutanda probably has set. So it would have been really good for them to have this Sork around, dissuade this Ninja Grandmaster from being summoned. But now this monster just can be able to kind of wreak havoc if Mutanda doesn't have an out in their hand to it. Looks like we've got a Nobleman of Crossout here, though, on the set, which is that Gravekeeper Spy. So 2 games in a row, Warrior being able to Nobleman a Gravekeeper Spy is huge for them to rip out one of the best cards in the matchup against them. Even though you had the Ninja Grandmaster, it's nice to just, be able to start pressuring the life points early. And yeah, Spies are all going to get banished here. And Mitchell is going to pass with this Grandmaster threatening to start dealing some damage. So Mutanda was in a pretty good spot after being able to resolve that Sorcerer, but a little bit of a misplay there brought Michelo right back into this game, and we got a Grandmaster here pressuring. Spies banished off the knock. Looking pretty good for Warrior, I would say. Mutanda does have the Breaker here. Classic choice here of do you want to... Well, I guess you probably just want to attack over the Ninja Grandmaster, and then main phase 2 pop the set. That's probably the play. Let's see. Michelo allows that to happen. Okay, so Breaker, actually, the 1900 attack becoming pretty relevant here. Beating over the Ninja Grandmaster. And now Mutanda is back in the driver's seat. Really back and forth game here so far. Mutanda getting a little bit bailed out after the misplay with the Breaker here. Main phase 2, you can pop that back row as well, which is really nice. It's a Call of the Haunted as well, which is a really nice card to hit against Warrior. So now Mutanda, you've dropped your opponent down to basically no cards. You're the one with board presence, pressure. Looking good for Turbo now. Back and forth every single turn. We're going to get normal summon Tribe Infecting Virus out of Michelo. A decent way to deal with the Breaker, but it's already gotten the nice 2-for-1 value here. So if you actually discard a real card for the Tribe, Breaker's getting 3-for-1, which is really, really strong. I mean, really good card. There's a reason why it's limited, right? But yeah, we're going to discard a Trap Dust Shoot, which is dead, but it is a card, right? So yeah, Breaker achieving 3-for-1 value is pretty insane, and that might be just exactly what is able to push Mutanda into a winning position here. Tribe will likely be able to hit in for 16, but that's not the end of the world. You're still at full life up to this point, so taking a hit here or there is definitely something you can afford. Mutanda, nice grip of cards here. Gonna set a monster pass. Now, notably, only 2 Spies got banished off of that Nobleman, so Mutanda could potentially be running the 3rd and just have had it in hand, which It's not that great against Tribe because Tribe Effect can just pop it, right? But it will at least block some damage for the time being. And I guess we know there's still a Thunder Dragon in hand for Mutanda. So we know at least one of the two cards. Okay. Michelo here. What's the play? We're going to go normal summon Donzalug. We're going full aggressive here, saying, okay, maybe if you have the third Spy, I'll just get walled out. But if you don't, I'm going to start ripping cards out of your hand. Because if it's not Spy, Tribe can pretty easily beat over whatever this set monster is. So let's see if this connects. Tribe gets in. It's a Night Assailant. Okay, interesting card to have there. Man-Eater Bug Effect will probably come through and pop the Donzalug, if I had to guess. Protect the hand. Pretty nice 1-for-1 trade, prevent some damage. Not a bad use of that card. Night Assailant, normally a card that you're going to side out against Warrior. It's just generally not very good in the matchup because its flip effect rarely gets off. We saw it here, but that's because the board state was extremely simplified. And it's one of those, if it sticks around in hand, it doesn't really do too much. Like against Warrior, against aggro strategies, you want cards that impact the board immediately when you draw them, which Night Assailant very much is not. It's more of a dirtily card. So most of the time, people will recommend you side out the Night Assailants against Warriors, but depending on the 55, maybe it makes the cut. Although it's usually the first card on the list that you side out, besides maybe like Nobleman's. Getting some value there though, being able to pop the Donzalug and protect the hand, and Mutanda's still in a pretty nice spot here. Tsukuyomi here is quite a nice card against Warrior. You're going to be able to flip that Tribe face down and then beat over it, going up an additional card. And yeah, looking really good for Mutanda here. Just having that Suk in hand makes so many of Michelo's potential top decks here so much worse. So yeah, definitely would love to be in Mutanda's seat here. Michelo goes for a Reinforcement of the Army, which is kind of nice. If you have DD Warrior Lady in deck, that is at least a Tsukuyomi-proof monster. So wouldn't be surprised to see that one come through here. Definitely taking a long think here. We're going for the Blade Knight, which is not Tsukuyomi proof, right? I don't know if maybe you sided out DD Warrior Lady or you're just not running it, which would seem weird in a Warrior deck. But that's one of the big reasons to run that card, is that it is Tsukuyomi proof in the mirror. Or not in the mirror, but in the Chaos Turbo matchup. So just grabbing a card that dies to Tsukuyomi is pretty risky here. You will be able to hit for 2k, which isn't terrible, but it's just going to meet its demise immediately here. Oh, or we could just go Snatch Shield, even stronger. We can snatch the Blade Knight, Tsukuyomi to... Oh, or Kaiku. Okay. So you could have gone Tsukuyomi there, obviously, to flip the Blade Knight face down, remove the Snatch Shield so the Blade Knight becomes yours permanently, but going for an even more aggressive play here with normal summon Kaiku, which is another card that you probably don't really want against Warrior post-side, I would say, but I've talked about that a lot in previous videos, so... And it is going to get value here. Going to be able to banish Light and Dark out of the opponent's grave here, which is nice as well. And yeah, I mean... At this point, Mutanda was so far ahead that this monster could have been really anything. Kaiku's a little bit win more in this scenario, but you are getting a lot of value out of it, at least. And this is a lot of damage coming through. 3,400. Michelo drops down to 41, gets their graveyard banished. And yeah, things are looking really good for Mutanda here. Draws a back row for turn, just going to set it pass. We've got, main phase 1 Dust Tornado, popping probably the Snatch Steal to get the Blade Knight back to wall out this Kaiku. You probably want to wait till battle phase to do this, I would guess. Because now Mutanda still has the whole of their main phase to do this, so maybe a little bit too eager there on the Dust Tornado, and Mutanda could potentially punish this. Yeah, with the Tsukuyomi, right? Of course. You know Tsukuyomi is in hand, so you want to wait till battle phase to Dust Tornado, so that they can't just summon Suk and kill your Blade Knight, right? So a little bit of a misplay there out of Michelo. You're still super far behind, but so probably not going to matter too much, but definitely could have at least kept them in the game for a little bit longer. They could have maybe killed the Kaiku next turn, stuff like that. And now it's just like looking pretty much like GG here for Mutanda. Yeah, Blade Knight hits the grave, Kaiku gets in for 18 again, banish the last two monsters out, making Premature Burial dead. Looking really good for Mutanda here. Michelo just draws a back row. Trap Dust Shoot here is pretty nice. At least you can rip out Tsukuyomi. Mutanda's hand we see... so they're running Chaos Control. Interesting. Cool. So they've got the known Suk, the known Thunder Dragon, and then the hand is Metamorphosis plus Scapegoat. So 2 cards that are pretty good against Warrior. You definitely don't need them right about now. Kaiku plus Suk alone is pretty solid. So we'll probably just see the Suk get banned or get ripped out of the hand here. Yep, makes sense. And now Kaiku can just beat in for 18 again. Totally fine. You do know Scapegoat is something to worry about at this point, though. Hit in for 18. Set probably that Scapegoat pass. Looking really good for Mutanda here once more. Top deck Kaiku out of Michelo is fine. You can trade Kaikus here, and at least now you know your opponent doesn't have any threats unless they top deck one, so just trying to live for as long as possible. I respect it, holding on in case you can maybe find a way back into this one. Let's see what the play is for Mutanda. Just going to set a back row pass. Okay. Michelo just going to draw pass. We're going to get end phase Scapegoat out of Mutanda, which is interesting. Just to get some stuff on board. I wonder what the play is with these. So now you only have 1 space left on your monster zones to summon an actual threat. We're gonna go meta into Thousand Eyes just for fun. Oh, and then we're gonna go tribute. Yeah, sorry, that was silly of me. Yeah, forgetting that you can go tribute for Thunder Dragon here for game. Nice play there out of Mutanda. End phase Scapegoat, so that then next turn the summon restriction of Scapegoat is removed. You can go meta into Thousand Eyes, tribute summon for Thunder Dragon, and attack in for game, finding a nice line there to win. And that is game 2 in favor of Chaos Control against this Warrior list. Pretty solid gameplay there from the Control player, just kind of stabilizing pretty early and then just waiting to kind of grind out the win. Game 3, though, Warrior will be able to go first there. As the beatdown deck in the matchup, that very much favors them. Able to stick board presence, pressure life points early with that tempo advantage, so let's see if they can use that to its fullest. Going to start out with set a few back row pass. Definitely something that's fine. Warrior often will not want to summon a monster turn 1 because it is pretty monster light, and there's not usually a lot of sense in just running something out to get killed. So totally fine there. Trap Dust Shoot here is going to be really nice as well. Going to get full value here looking at your opponent's hand. Mutanda has no monsters in hand, though, so Trap Dust Shoot is going to be actually just a -1 here, which is pretty interesting. They see a hand of Upstart, Sakuretsu, Raigeki Break, Mirror Force, Card Destruction, which is not a card, once again, that you really want to play against Warrior post side. But you also see a Heavy Storm, which is really nice against Warrior. So, Mutanda here, not a lot of action, but at least your hand is monster-free, such that this Dust Shoot will fizzle. And then you can go ahead and Upstart Goblin and maybe actually draw into something. You probably don't want to just fire off this Card Destruction here, although maybe you do, just because it's good to get rid of all of the known cards off the Dust Shoot, perhaps. But you do have some pretty nice cards in the matchup here with Heavy, Mirror Force, Sakuretsu Armor, all really high-value cards in the matchup. Raigeki Break is also decent as well, that you don't have any discard fodder for it just yet. Probably will depend on if you grab anything good off of the Upstart Goblin, maybe. But yeah, Mitchell at least getting a lot of information off this Dust Shoot, but going minus, not too great. Mutanda going to fire off this Heavy Storm immediately, and that's just going to get a nice 2-for-1, so you're already +2 here for Mutanda. The +1 off of the Fizzled Dust Shoot, +1 off of Heavy getting a 2-for-1 there. Now you can Upstart into something good, potentially. Looking nice for Mutanda. Going to set a back row pass, so it didn't seem like they found a monster. But still in a solid position. If they can set up a nice card destruction, that would be pretty powerful. I wonder if we just have like set Sakuretsu Armor here. Would kind of make a lot of sense. Mitchell has a King Tiger Wanghu, which is definitely something that they might not have brought in before if they just thought Mutanda was running Chaos Turbo. But once they were able to Dust Shoot last turn and see the Scapegoat, now you know you're playing against Chaos Control, and King Tiger is definitely something you want to side in against them to prevent the Scapegoats and the Thousand Eyes from being summoned. And it's just a nice little clock here, 1700 damage a turn. You're probably just going to run it straight into a Sakuretsu Armor, but you kind of got to do what you got to do. Yep, Saku will come down, kill it. You know, sometimes you just have to run your monsters into removal and hope you outdraw it, I guess, is the plan there. Going to set all 3 back row here as well. A little bit interesting, so saying you're not going to card D away any of my cards. So really wanting to hold on to these is kind of nice. And you know your opponent doesn't have Heavy Storm anymore, so just setting your full hand is pretty risk-free at this point in time. So I do like that play from Michelo. Mutanda here drew a Zombira for turn. Okay, pretty nice card. Against Warrior, just a really big monster that can get a lot of value by beating over stuff like King Tiger, stuff like Kaiku, stuff like Blade Knight. We're going to set a back row pass here once more. A couple of back row as well. All right. The opponent has a lot of stuff here, so definitely safer to set more things because Heavy Storm is no longer positive for Michelo if you have two back row. Just going to draw a pass for Michelo, though, so pretty monster starved. Looks like King Tiger was the only threat that they had. So running it out into a known Sakuretsu armor is a little bit risky when you don't really have anything else to play, I guess. But that is the choice that they made. And at least Mutanda doesn't have a threat here. So you at least have a little bit of time to draw into some good stuff. Mutanda draws for turn. Just going to pass there. Zambira, of course, cannot pressure the life points. But you don't really need to as the Chaos Control player. You can kind of sit back, drop a bunch of cards, complicate the board state, which is not what Warrior wants, and you'll be in a good position if you can just sit here forever. Draw pass for Michelo. Mutanda sets a monster, and then fires out that card destruction. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Hits a DD Warrior Lady and a Blackluster Soldier in Michelo's hand. So they had some monsters. Yeah, I guess... I feel like DD Warrior Lady training for a Zambira is actually pretty nice. So weird to see Michelo not go for that. And then if they just want to Mirror Force it, that's fine too. Because then at least you get your Light Engrave and you traded for another Battle Trap. So I feel like if you were just going to go ahead and King Tiger into a Sakuretsu armor to try and start whittling away at your opponent's monster removal, you might as well do the same with DD Warrior Lady. Otherwise, this play makes no sense. And now DD Warrior Lady is just stuck in hand to get hit by card destruction. I mean, I guess it's fine because it does cycle for another card. But I feel like ramming in your DD Warrior Lady makes ramming in with your King Tiger make more sense. And you're totally fine banishing the Zambira here as well. It will prevent a Dark from going Engrave, which is nice. So, interesting plays there for Michelo. Maybe you could have played this one a little bit differently. But Mutanda is going to potentially minus themselves. Yeah, they're going to go minus off of this card destruction. Discarding a dead sorcerer, though, so I guess that's kind of the reasoning there. Also discarding a dead Snatch Steal, which might not be dead forever. Another high-value card in the matchup that's interesting to pitch, although it is dead right now. But we'll see if they're able to draw anything good off of this. Both players will have 2 cards in hand after the card destruction resolves. And then Mutanda is going to add another back row pass. Okay. Michelo, 3 cards in hand. Fresh 3 cards after this card destruction resolution. And they found a Mystic Swordsman level 2, which can answer this set monster. It's probably not... I mean, you know it's not going to be Sinister. Unlikely to be Sangan. Those are all cards that you're probably fine pitching to the card destruction, right? So the fact that Mutanda expressly wanted to summon this monster before going for card destruction means it's probably pretty high value. So I like going for the Mystic Swordsman play here to potentially answer that, even if it is risking just getting popped by a Zambira. You might just force out the Mirror Force here, which is totally fine. Let's see. We're going to force out the Raigeki Break. So Mutanda choosing to save the Mirror Force. We're going to Raigeki Break, discard a Book of Moon to kill the Mystic Swordsman, and now we're going -1 again. So Mutanda was in a really solid position early on with the, Fizzle, Dust Shoot, and the +1 off of Heavy Storm, but now has minus themselves twice in a row with this card destruction and this Raigeki Break. And Mitchell is actually not in a terrible position, even though they're a little bit monster dead. Things are not terrible for them at the moment. Main phase 2 will get Nobleman of Crossite here on this set monster, so Mutanda, really trying to protect that makes sense. Seems like they really value it. But Mitchell just having the Nobleman as the follow-up, even if their Mystic Swordsman got answered. Really nice sequencing there. You can go for the +1 with the Mystic Swordsman, and if it fails, just get the nice 1-for-1 trade. And you hit a Magician of Faith, which is huge. Lots of good stuff in gray for Mutanda to potentially grab. And now they won't have access to Faith for the rest of the game. Banishing their other copy from the deck, of course. Michelo can set another back row pass. And things are looking pretty good for Michelo, at least, as long as I can find a monster. Pretty even game so far. Mutanda draw pass, sure. Michelo back row pass, still a little monster dead. Tsukuyomi here for Mutanda is at least a little bit of a clock. Does play right into Torrential Tribute, so it could be kind of backbreaking to see this out of Michelo, unless you have like a Solemn Judgment to protect this. but at least you're able to start pressuring the opponent, which isn't too bad. Ooh, Torrential is going to come out here for Michelo, and that is huge. Unless Mutanda has a Solemn. No, no Solemn there, so Michelo has grinded their way back into this game after a pretty catastrophic opening. And now all they're missing is a threat, I guess, but outvaluing the control player is pretty nice. And things are looking better turn after turn here for Michelo. They find a threat here too. It might just be Sangame, but this is actually a pretty difficult one to deal with. Not something Mutanda is going to want to Mirror Force, of course. You can get in for 1,000 a turn. Just a really annoying card, and pretty good time to draw it, just to continue to apply some pressure when you're up a bunch of cards. Nice draw. We'll see if Mutanda has an out to it. They do have... No, they do not have Chaos Light. No Lights in Grave. So Sork or BLS, the two cleanest answers to the Sangan, are not available. You're playing Chaos Control, so you might have a DD Warrior Lady in your deck somewhere, which is also pretty nice into Sangan. But besides that, it's kind of tough to deal with the little critter. Really good card. Pot of Greed top deck is pretty nice, though. Going to be able to go up a card there. Going to set a monster, set a back row pass. We'll get End Phase Dust Tornado, pop that set, though. Draws a Torrential Tribute. Not the most high-value card in this particular board, but at least Michelo knows that they don't have to play around it anymore, which is pretty nice. Now, interesting, if you were Michelo, you could have saved this Dust Tornado to pop one of the known Mirror Force, because you know it's one of these two cards. So choosing to just use it on the random set is a little bit of an interesting choice, because I feel like Mirror Force is kind of more high value to hit, especially when you know your opponent has it. But getting a little bit rewarded there by just killing the Torrential Tribute is pretty nice. So it ends up being a pretty solid Dust Tornado there, I would say. Michelo here now knows they don't have to play around one of those limited traps at least. We're just going to go Sangan defense position, set a back row pass. I guess you know that this set is not Magician of Faith, and any of the other sets you don't really want to attack into, because Sangan doesn't beat over Dekoichi, doesn't beat over Spy. Don't want to kill your opponent's Sangan and let them get the search, of course. Yeah, so I think defense mode Sangan is fine here. Unfortunate that Michelo was not able to find a threat, but is what it is. Mutanda drew Thunder Dragon for turn. Okay, and now that is a Light Engrave. So this could be a big turning point if they have Chaos stuck in hand. They also can maybe tribute whatever this set monster is, if it is a Sangan of their own, or maybe a Sinister Serpent, which could start turning the tide and start applying pressure to Michelo. We'll see what they choose to do, though. We're going to get Flip Summon Night Assailant, which is a little bit interesting because the effect is basically wasted on the Sangan because Michelo can just go search up something. Although, not sure how many targets are in the deck. You can grab another Mystic Swordsman, maybe. DD Warrior Lady is probably the best Sangan target in the Warrior deck, but obviously that's in the grave. You're going to grab Donzalug. Okay, so that's a good card in the matchup if you can force it through. You know you have Mirror Force to play around, though. And then Mutanda is going to go for that Tribute Summon for Thunder Dragon play. So that is just a straight -1 for them, by the way. Because you basically just traded Night Assailant for nothing, right? But at least you get a body on board to start pressuring in. Even though Thunder Dragon is not the strongest monster against Warrior. 1600 attack is pretty good against Turbo decks, but not very good against Warrior. But, you know, maybe just thinking that they need to get aggressive here is the idea. If you don't have any other plays, maybe this is fine. Hit in for 16. Michelo are just going to go ahead and Mirror Force that. That's a little bit interesting. Like I said, Thunder Dragon is kind of a pretty easy card to deal with, so I almost would have liked, you know, you're at 9,000 life. So you could pretty easily just wait a few turns, take a hit or two from the Thunder Dragon, and then choose to Mirror Force later if you don't find a better out to this. So pretty low value Mirror Force here for Michelo. I mean, at least it solidifies the +1 and makes this a really wasteful play out of Mutanda. But probably could get higher value out of this Mirror Force later on. Or at least, you know, kind of invest some life points in potentially finding a better answer, and then you can always just Mirror Force later, like I was saying. Not going for that, though. Mutanda just going to set a back row with that Thunder Dragon as the last card in hand. So Michelo knows the opponent's kind of bricked here. Still a Mirror Force to play around. Donzo is going to come in here, though. Try and get in, but we're going to go Raigeki Break. Discard the Thunder Dragon to pop the Donzo. Okay. So another, not really a full 2-for-1, because Thunder Dragon is, you know, maybe like 3/4 of a card, I guess. But Mutanda, once again, going down even further cards here. And that's twice in a row that they have chosen to Raigeki break a monster instead of just using their Mirror Force. And suddenly Mitchell is just up like a million cards here, which is never the position you expect to be in as Warrior against Chaos Control. But if you're Mitchell, I mean, you're going to take it, right? Set a back row pass there as well. Mutanda. Top deck Graceful Charity is really, really nice, though. Can try and find something to play here. That will resolve. We're going to discard Sakuretsu Armor and a Mystical Space Typhoon. 2 good cards in the matchup, so they must have kept something really nice here. Oh, and it looks like they found a Chaos Monster. BLS is coming down. Sounds good. You know there's no Mirror Force. There's no Torrential to worry about. There's no Ring. So really high chance that this BLS is going to be able to do something good here. We'll see what the plan is. We're not going to attack, though, so playing around potential Sakuretsu Armor, which is definitely a card that Warrior could have here. But just summoning it to pass is a little odd, because it's not like you... I mean, you have a lot of life. It's not like you need to put a wall on the board to answer your opponent's stuff. Are you really worried about, like, Delinquent Duo, maybe? That would be bad if Mitchell has the duo, but it would have to be a top deck duo, and this does play into like Snatch Steal, right? So like, would you rather play around duo or play around Snatch Steal? And I feel like you kind of have to get value. You know, you're down on cards here as Mutanda, so I would rather you hold the BLS in hand to get some more value out of it and make sure you can at least like banish a monster the turn that it's summoned instead of just sending it out here to do nothing. And if you're going to do this, then like at least attack, right? Surely. I don't know. It just seems like a little bit too eager to play the BLS here. Like obviously you're going to keep it off the Graceful Charity, and maybe it feels bad to go Graceful and then not actually play the card that you kept off of it. But a pretty low value BLS here for the time being. It'll at least dissuade Michelo from playing a lot of their monsters. But it feels like if you're not going to attack with it, like you could have done a lot more with that maybe. Michelo draws for turn. Let's see, they're thinking here. Just going to pass, though. Okay. So not running anything out here. So maybe that's Mutanda's play. Is just use Blackluster Soldier as essentially like a battle floodgate or a monster summoning floodgate, because it makes Michelo's potential plays a lot worse, is the idea. And maybe it'll just help you stall out and make the fact that you're down a card not as big a deal, maybe. They draw into Upstart Goblin, put Michelo up to 10k. Sangan here is now at least a threat. There's no Mirror Force to play around, so no need to switch BLS to defense. Just going to get in with Sangan. I think that's fine. Michelle drops back down to 9k, and this is at least a clock. So Mutanda controlling the board with the BLS, getting aggressive with the Sangan, playing around Sakuretsu by not attacking with the BLS, I guess is fine, because you have a little bit of a clock here, so seems to be working well for Mutanda here, but Mitchell very much, you have plenty of time here, 9,000 life. So if they're not going to attack with the BLS, gonna be a while until you die, right? Tribe Infecting Virus is certainly an out to BLS. We know one of the sets is Mirror Force for Mutanda, so the other set would have to be exactly Solemn Judgment to prevent their BLS from hitting the grave here. They're going to discard a Blade Knight, totally fine. Pop the BLS, and that's what I was talking about, right? If you're not going to go at least attempt to attack with the BLS, why are you just going to summon it out to get dealt with by something for Michelo, right? Tribe being one of the many cards in deck that could have done that. It ends up just being a 1-for-1 trade, but like when you're going for BLS, the whole deck is built around powering up BLS and using it as a huge advantage engine. So if you're just using it for a 1-for-1 trade, it's like, what's the point of the deck? You know what I mean? And so Michelo in a really nice spot here, having dealt with that BLS. We're going to go try to attack into the Sangan, potentially forcing out the Mirror Force. And Mutanda finally uses it, but like, if you're Michelo, this is fine. Like, Mirror Force my Tribe. That's fine. Like, if anything, you would have wanted them to kill your Sangan so you could, like, I don't know, grab Serpent or something. And now Mirror Force is gone. Michelo doesn't have to worry about that or Torrential. Looking really, really good for Warrior here, I gotta say. Setting a back row pass is fine. Mutanda's all in on Sangan beatdown, 9-turn clock. Get in for 1,000 again. We're going to get Call of the Haunted here out of Michelo, though. Lots of good options. DD Warrior Lady is a pretty nice one, of course, to just banish that Sangan, so wouldn't be surprised to see that one. Donzalug would be nice as well. This Sangan already declared an attack, so you can't turn it to defense position. Although Mutanda could potentially play around the Donzalug by just playing whatever cards in their hand. It's a little bit of a tricky option, though. A lot of options here. King Tiger would be good if you're anticipating Scapegoat. It also deals with most of the Sangan searches in the deck as well. Probably DD Warrior Lady is the play, though. Oh, we're going to go for the Donzalug. So getting a little tricky there. Yeah, and like I said, this forces Sangan to be in attack position. Mutanda will just go ahead and set their hand in main phase 2 to play around Donzalug. But now maybe if you have like a Dust Tornado says, Michelo, it's like a little bit of a checkmate scenario. Let's see. Nope, so the card will just get set. So Donzalug, honestly, yeah, I probably would have preferred the DD Warrior Lady there, even if this was kind of cute. DD Warrior Lady just seems like more of a consistent play. I mean, pretty much any card that Mutanda had in hand would have been able to be played here, right? Like, they have Chaos Live, so Sword could have come down. So, like, really, like, 100% of the time, Mutanda can just play around the Donzalug here. So, a little bit interesting. Well, I guess the idea is if you have another threat, you can Donzalug kill the Sangan and then... Or you can have the other threat kill Sangan and then rip out whatever they grab with the Donzalug. But they could just grab Serpent, and then it doesn't really matter. So, not exactly the most high-value thing here. You will at least be able to hit in for 400, which is fine. Oh, we're going to mill with the Donzalug. Weird play. Okay. Not really sure what that's... I mean, I guess you could try to deck your opponent out. Maybe that's the idea. They only have 10 cards in deck left after this, though. They only have 9 cards in deck left after this, because Sangan is mandatory, assuming they have something to search, but they almost definitely do. So maybe we're going for Donzalug deck out as the play here, which is kind of funny. But there are still spies left in deck, so... Like, Mutanda can just grab Spy here and wall out the Don. Interesting play. We're just going to grab the Sinister. I think that makes sense. Deals with the Donzalug effect totally fine. Protects your hand. Michelo in a solid spot here. And I guess the one thing about DD Warrior Lady is that you can deal with the Sangan, but then your threat doesn't stick on board. I feel like if you're just going to go for this play and sit on a monster, though, King Tiger is probably the play, right? Sen at least deals with, like, scapegoats and stuff. I don't know. Mutanda here, draws for turn. Set a monster. We're going to go Metamorphosis on that Sinister. Okay. So another high-value use of that Sinister Serpent is to go for a Metamorphosis play. You're doing this into 3 back row, though, so potential for Michelo to just deal with this before it can suck in your Donzalug. Thousand Eyes will hit the field, attempt to suck in the Don, and that's going to resolve. Okay. So something that Michelo probably could have foreseen, because you know you hadn't seen really any of the Scapegoat meta stuff just yet out of Mutanda. So not having an out for this, a little bit interesting. And now, I guess maybe you could have a Sakuretsu to deal with it, is the idea. Let's see what the play. We're just going to pass. So once again, I guess if you're going to play around Sakuretsu with the BLS, you might as well play around Sakuretsu with the Thousand Eyes. Try to lock the opponent down. But you got to kill the opponent in 8 turns. They're at 9,000 life, and if you're afraid to attack into a Sakuretsu armor, might be a little rough to kill them before you get decked out. And Thousand Eyes here, of course, you know, if you're not going to attack with the Thousand Eyes, you can't attack with anything else either, right? So, going to need to find a clock. Michelo can afford to just sit back here. Totally fine. They have Delinquent Duo just to rip out the 1 card in hand. I guess, you know, it's at least not Sinister Serpent, so that's fine. You hit a Night Assailant, which is not great, because they can just grab back. I guess the only target is the other Night Assailant, but it's basically just lost 1,000 life and went down a card for nothing. So they get to grab back that Night Assailant. Set a back row pass. Sure. Mutanda here. Let's see. Gonna go normal summon Breaker the Magical Warrior. Okay. So just going to try and pop the suspected Sakuretsu armor and then clear the way to attack with the Thousand Eyes, I guess is the plan. Let's see what they hit. They hit a Bluff Set Nobleman of Crossout. So a couple of bluff sets there. So Mutanda potentially just playing around a lot of fake back row. Although one of these two definitely could be Sakuretsu. Let's see. We're going to start getting in with Thousand Eyes, though. We're going to try and clock the opponent. They go down to 66, and maybe Michelo just never had the Sakuretsu anyway, and we could have attacked with this BLS instead of just running it in to get killed for nothing. But Mutanda actually in a decent spot here. I think Thousand Eyes will kill before they get decked out. Yeah, it's got to be at least a 4 or 5 turn clock, right? So now Michelo, kind of on the back foot here, has to deal with this 1400 damage a turn. Not in a terrible spot. Let's see. Let's see what the play is. Gonna set a monster pass. Okay, try and wall this out. 1400 attack is not the biggest thing. All right, so pretty easy to do this, I think. Mutanda going to attack into it. It is an Asura Priest. Okay, so just using it to wall it out. Interesting. Going down a card there just to prevent the damage, I guess is the idea. Just a little chump blocker there. Michelo just draws a back row set to pass. Thousand Eyes gets in for 1400 again. Oh, we've got Dust Tornado to pop the Donzalug, and we are just all in on the deck out play here. Okay. You know the Tsukuyomi is gone from third Mutanda, so difficult for them to out their own Thousand Eyes, I guess is the idea. Yeah, they have no Thunder Dragons in hand, so they can't tribute summon over it, unless they have like a Zaborg or something in deck, which is possible. But Mitchell is saying, okay, I'm just going to remove all of your damage potential and hope you deck yourself out. And it might just work. Mutanda sets a back row pass. Michelo, let's see, we're going to go Heavy Storm here just to nuke everything. You hit a Trap Dust Shoot and you hit a Scapegoat, which was dead. Mutanda couldn't play it because they had 2 monsters on board, so nice little plus there. And you hit a dead Trap Dust Shoot. Nice. Okay. So nice, just little 2-for-2 trade there with the Heavy Storm. And now maybe Michelo clearing the way for potential play here. What are we going to do? Just going to set a back row pass. Okay, and we're just all in on the deck out play. Let's see. Mutanda, set a monster. Turn the Thousand Eyes to defense. Sure. Michelo sets a back row. Delinquent Duo out of Mutanda. Sure. Rip out a Kaiku. Might as well. I guess. Yeah, you don't want to normal summon the Kaiku because it can get sucked in, even though the Floodgate effect would be nice if Mutanda is running another Chaos Sorcerer. Because Sork is one of the outs for the Thousand Eyes. You can summon Sork, banish the Thousand Eyes, and free up a clock. But even that might be too late now. And Michelo might just be able to deck them out of here. Ooh, Tribe is another out. Okay, so we're going to go Tribe, pop our own Thousand Eyes, beat in for 3,200 a turn, and that will be just enough to kill Michelo if they don't have any interaction. So Mutanda potentially finding a win here. Ooh, we got Solemn Judgment for the Tribe, though. Crazy. The only Solemn we've seen all game out of Michelo. And that is going to negate the Tribe coming down, keep this Thousand Eyes lock on board, and now Mutanda has to find another out for their own Thousand Eyes. Otherwise, it's just GG for Michelo. Just going to draw pass. Sure. Mutanda, show me the Sorcerer. No, just going to set a monster pass. You got 2 turns if you're Mutanda. Michelo, ooh, Exiled Force. Kill the Breaker. Yeah, kill the Breaker so that at least one of their damage sources is gone. I like the play. Keep the Thousand Eyes on board, of course, so that they can't attack. And now it's going to be really tough for Mutanda to muster up 3,300 points of damage in the 2 turns that they have. And we're also going to go Premature Burial on the Exiled to pop the other set monster, which is a Night Assailant. Okay. Might as well. I guess we knew they had that in hand off of the earlier Night Assailant. This other set is probably Sinister Serpent, right? And so just potentially trying to remove as much damage as possible. Although you just dealt 800 to yourself with that Exile, with that Premature, but that's still probably fine. And now you got 2 more turns, Mutanda. Okay, we find the Chaos Sorcerer. Is this going to be enough? We got Stork banish the Thousand Eyes. Flip summon something good. Flip summon Kaiku. Oh, did Mutanda just kill themselves by... Oh, man. Or do they just not have enough outs? Yeah, I mean, this set was pretty likely to be Night Assailant, so maybe you want to exile the other one, I guess? And now you're actually just dead if you can't live one more turn. Kaiku's going to hit in for 18, banish a couple stuff from the grave, which isn't the end of the world, because BLS is already gone, so that effect doesn't really matter. But is this just going to be enough? Michelo went all in on the deck out plan, and Mutanda might just be able to win on the very last possible turn. Set a monster, set a back row pass here as well. Is this it, Michelo? What do we have? Solemn Judgment in the hand. Not enough. Dead Trap Dust Shoot on the board. And Mutanda, at the very, very last possible moment, finds an out to their own Thousand Eyes and enough damage to win the game in 2 turns. And Michelo dealing a lot of damage to themselves between Solemn. I mean, you had to Solemn the Tribe, of course. But then the Premature to not really do anything. Oof. Mutanda taking it down, like I said, at the very last second, bringing the last card in deck is pretty funny. But yeah, there you have it. Chaos Control, 2 games to 1, taking it down over Warrior in an absolute marathon of a match. Oh man, really cool games there. Game 1, Michelo just getting super aggressive. I think Mutanda might have been Chaos Turbo siding into Chaos Control. So the plan was to get a little bit more slower and stabilizing post side, which ended up working for them 2 games in a row. Michelo was aggressive game 1, won it in typical Warrior fashion. Game 2, Mutanda was able to stabilize relatively early on and then just kind of slowly grinded Michelo down. But game 3 here, what a marathon. Super back and forth plays, definitely some different stuff that could have been done by both players. But what it came down to was Michelo going all in on decking out Mutanda, hoping that they would just lock themselves out with their own Thousand Eyes with no attachments. But they find the Chaos Sorcerer to remove their own Thousand Eyes and get in enough damage with a Kaiku in the next 2 turns. And Mutanda takes it down. Really cool game, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will catch you all next time.